And we're live. What's up, Kingdom of Rock? This is Matt Gibson, and we are here for a special edition of Kingdom of Rock. Normally, we do our interviews on Thursdays at 5, but today, due to some logistics, we're going to sit down with my friend Francesco DeMeo and talk about his music career and hear a little bit about what he's all about as an artist. How's it going, brother?
Good, man. How you been? Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too, man.
Yeah.
So we're out here in Oceanside, California. Kind of, is this like the surf capital of the world? I'm new to California, so
yeah.
tell me a little bit about where we're at here.
I mean, it's the surf capital of my world because I live in this area. But I mean, there's a lot of good waves here, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just kidding. The waves suck here. Don't come here. No, there's some good spots out here. It's a lot of people surf, and it's got a really nice kind of like more country kind of feel because it's not downtown San Diego, so a lot more space, and it's nice.
So it's a little bit outside of San Diego.
Yeah, we're about 30 minutes out.
Yeah, about 30 minutes out. Yeah. Well, so Francesco, I actually I met you through a mutual friend of ours, and he told me about your music and turned me on to you're a new artist. You're starting to put out videos and music on the streaming platforms and everything. And why don't you tell Kingdom of Rock a little bit about some of your background as an artist? How did you become interested in the music industry? Where you've been, where you're going, a little bit like that.
For sure. So I'll try to condense it all into a nutshell so it's not too long. But basically, I started playing music in my teens, but I wasn't super into it. My parents actually tried to get me into music when I was younger, and I was more into like drawing and painting. Mm-hmm. And I never knew you could really do both. I thought, oh, well, I'm an artist, but I'm like an artist that draws and that paints. I don't know. I just didn't realize you could do both, I guess. And then it wasn't until I was like, I think a little later, like I was like my early adult years, like 18, 19 years old. I moved out, grabbed a guitar. I was partying all the time, and it was just like playing guitar and partying and listening to a lot of Led Zeppelin. And so I think Led Zeppelin is actually probably the number one band that made me want to play guitar and be a musician. Just listening to Jimmy, like it was just like, oh my God, like this guy's amazing, right? And the songwriting, all of it. So long story short, that kind of made me interested in music, and I got into it. And I mean, I self-taught, I play by ear, and the first few like chords that I learned, I started writing songs. Mm-hmm. Not very good songs, but they were songs.
The first ones are never very good.
Yeah, I know. They're
you might
funny.
Get like 1 out of 10. That's a keeper.
Yeah, it's more like you can go back and like laugh. It's like, oh wow, that was a song that I wrote, I guess. So yeah, that's kind of how that happened. I just started writing, and basically over time, what happened is I realized that it's just another art form. It's like painting, it's like drawing, but there's no cleanup. I can pick up my guitar, I can write a song, I can paint this beautiful picture with music, and then I can walk away and I don't have to clean all this mess up. So for me, it was just like, oh, this is so nice.
I think a mix engineer might disagree with you about that.
That's true. That is very true.
Yeah. Clean up. Somebody else cleans it up.
Yeah, right? which is why I don't, that's not my thing.
So today's digital world, everyone does everything, but you let the engineers do the engineering? Yeah,
I mean, I do. So I do like, I do what's called pre-production. So I do record my own tracks. I do write all the parts. Like I'll write drum parts, I'll program drums, I'll do all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, when it comes to actually engineering and getting everything spot on and all polished up, I'd rather keep it, professional. And that's not my job. My thing is like songwriting and singing and composing, right? But all the engineering stuff I leave to someone who's good at that. So yeah, so that's basically how I got into it. And then
Led Zeppelin to Hawaiian reggae. That seems like a bit of a jump.
Yeah, for sure.
How did you get into Hawaiian reggae music?
Yeah, so basically, there's I moved to California from France. And when I moved to California, I was introduced to Sublime, 311, like that kind of stuff, like, Cali kind of white boy reggae or whatever you call it. And I liked it. I was like, this is cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then a little bit after that, I met a girl from Hawaii, dated her for a little bit, and
Got some culture.
I got some culture, went over there. We went over there a few times together, and she introduced me to a lot of Hawaiian reggae artists. And I just fell in love with that. And then later on in life, when me and her were broken up, I went back to Hawaii and I went there on my own, and I experienced it on a whole new level. It was so much more personal. I almost felt more welcomed, because it was just like me on my own. I didn't have a Hawaiian girlfriend, but I felt so welcomed by the community. I really, really love their vibe. They're all about family. They're all about love. They're all about God. And they have like a country kind of reggae vibe. It's very hard to explain. And so yeah, I just fell in love.
Beautiful. Like when I say beautiful, it's a little more feminine energy than some other reggae styles. Would you say that? Or like beauty? It seems, I don't know. How would you describe Hawaiian reggae music?
Yeah. So I was actually talking to some friends about this earlier today, but it's kind of like if you were to take an Italian opera singer and you were to tell him who's like very romantic and, just like dresses nice and he's got class and all that kind of stuff. And you're like, here, make some reggae. And that's what you get. You get Hawaiian reggae because it's like they dress nice. Most of them have short hair. They don't have dreads. That's not really part of their culture. Some people do. Right. But it's not about that. It's not about trying to emulate what Jamaicans had. It's more about taking what Jamaicans created and then making it their own. So there's more of like there's more influence with soul music. There's more of a heavy influence with R&B. And it's kind of weird because it's like what they play in clubs. So you show up at a club in Hawaii and they're playing reggae, but they're all dressed really nice. Like the girls and guys are all dressed like, Sunday clothes. Right. And they're all bumping their reggae music in the club. And it's like, it's got more swag. Like, so it's more like an R&B kind of thing. Like it's hard to explain, but so that's more the vibe. It's very, island-like and very romantic. Almost all their songs are about love, and so I don't know. I kind of like that kind of stuff.
So California, what made you? How did you end up here in Oceanside, California?
Yeah, so my parents actually, my dad got a job at the Calvary Chapel Bible College, and he was actually teaching out there as a missions teacher because he was a missionary out in France for a long time, and so that's how we ended up there. And
I actually have friends that my friend used to run that.
No way.
Yeah.
No way. That's funny.
Dave Shirley.
Oh yeah,
he was my pastor.
Yeah.
He was my first pastor.
No
when
way.
I was after I joined the military.
That's great.
Fayetteville, North Carolina.
That is crazy, man. Yeah,
we didn't even know that.
Yeah,
we hung out last night and we didn't even know that.
That is so funny, man.
Yeah, neat.
Small world.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you came here with your family, and right? Is that?
Oh yeah. Yeah, so I came here with my family. My sister was actually here from she got here when she was 19, so a little while ago, and she was living with my uncle on the East Coast. We moved to the West Coast, and then what happened is my sister moved out here and basically was like, all right, now she's got a reason to leave the East Coast. It's all wet and rainy.
I just left the East Coast.
Yeah, so
September.
Yeah, so you know what's up. You're like,
I'm like,
you're enjoying the weather.
The weather's great, but boy, the COVID has been tough here in California. Let me tell you.
Yeah. So, we moved here and we've been here ever since. We moved around a little bit. We were in Orange County for a little bit. Actually not too far from where we met, a little inland. And then we were in Marietta for a while at that Bible college. Yep. And then we finally made it down this way just because, because we like the ocean and we like to surf. Yeah. And, San Diego is just too busy. North County kind of has that Hawaii feel where it's kind of country, kind of not. You know, you're not too far from the city, but the beaches are very, very wide open, which is nice.
So you get here to California, and at what point did you decide, I want to get into the music industry? I want to go that route.
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I mean, I started playing in my early adult years, 18, 19. It took me about 5, 6 years of me playing, and then just realizing like, wow, I really love this. I mean, most people, if they're a musician or if it's what they want to do for a living, they kind of figure it out early.
Right.
It's like you see like Justin Bieber's and stuff like that. They're just prodigies, like just doing their thing at a very, very young age. And for me, it was kind of the opposite. I think I've always had the gifting of music and the ear, but I didn't know that it was there. And I guess for some reason, it didn't come out until later. And so I was probably about 25, 26 when I decided, there's a lot of things I've done in my life. I've had several types of jobs. I've worked in a lot of different industries, and there's only a few things that have always been there: my faith, surfing, and music. And I've always kind of gone back to those things. And I was like, well, I don't really want to be a professional surfer, and that's a really tough road. And I was like, I really love music. Like I love creating music, and I feel like it's you can express yourself in a way that you cannot express yourself through design. No offense, designers out there and artists. I mean, I'm one of you guys as well, but I'm just speaking from my personal perspective of a musician. Once you enter into that realm, you're touching more than one sense, right? Like you can see it, you can hear it, you can feel it. There's a lot more. Not to say you're not going to feel something by looking at a painting or something like that, but it's a different dimension. It's really, really playing with your own emotions, but you're also touching other people's emotions with your art.
So where are you at on the timeline? Like as far as art, getting ready to launch your career, I know you've released a few things. Like where are you at in your career right now? Like to share with Kingdom of Rock, y'all have to start somewhere, and so where are you at?
I would say I'm pretty close to the start. I mean, I've released 2 singles, so I have a lot of music that I've written, and I have 2 singles that I've released professionally.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much where I'm at. I have played a lot of shows, so I do have a lot of experience playing live.
You're right.
And I think that's, I don't know. I guess that's kind of a benefit. I've seen some people that do it the other way, where they get a lot of music out, and they'll get EPs out, or they'll have a full album out, but they haven't played, 100 or 200 shows or whatever, so my thing is like, I played a lot of shows, but I didn't start releasing music until probably about 5 years when after I started playing shows.
Usually I've noticed there's lots of different types of musicians and artists out there, but usually new artists either don't have a website and no social media maybe a Facebook page or something, or they haven't released a full album yet, or they are just play shows all the time, and they have tons of original music, tons of stuff. They've never actually got it all recorded. So I think it's just a matter of like trying to juggle it all, right? Yeah. I mean, like, do you have like a team, like a whole van full of people doing work for you, or are you just soloing it right now?
I wish, man. It's all, yeah. No, it's mostly me. I've had some friends and family that have helped out. I'm blessed to have people that care enough to, give me some of their time and be able to help out. But for the most part, it's been me. I've done a lot of it. I guess one of the interesting things is I started doing social media, and basically before I started releasing music. So that was one of the first things I did is, create an Instagram, Facebook. I got a website. I actually got 2 websites because I used to have a band. So, and basically it's taken a few years for me to just be like, okay, this is official. Now I'm going to release professional quality music. And that's the other thing too, is I think a lot of people release stuff. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. So I had a lot of music that I'm just like, I want it produced by, I do want it to be produced by someone who either has a name, in music, in the style that I'm doing, or at very least, an incredible ability to do what they do to where you can hear it. And even if they're not well known, doesn't matter, because they're they're that good, you know? And so that's kind of what I've been going for as far as the production. And so that, you know, it makes it so I'm not releasing 10 songs at a time. I'm releasing 1 or 2 at a time, you know?
I mean, I know artists that have hundreds of songs on the internet and no one knows who they are.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you have to like decide where are you going to put all of your heavy lifting, you know, especially if you're one person, you know, like if you have a day job too, that's like, now, are you a full-timer artist, or are you trying to shift, or where are you at on the work artist spectrum?
Yeah, so I've been doing solar the last like year or so, mainly because it's pretty good money, so it's been helpful. You know, make a living on the side. I can then take some of that money and then reinvest it in my music. So the way I look at music right now is it's a business, and in order for me to succeed at this business, I have to invest a certain amount of money. Obviously, I got to put blood, sweat, and tears, and I got to put my heart into it. But with no financial backing, you get what you're talking about, where it's like, you know, 100 songs on a platform, and they got 10 streams each, you know?
Yeah. And it's like, yeah. And you just like, it's real easy to get like good at something and you're just producing. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you're like, how come this is good? How come no one knows? Well, you have to figure out, how do I get this in front of people? Because everyone's bombarded with everything constantly, you know? And it's like, how do you slip in there and be like, hey, it's me, you know, like, because everyone, I mean, there's 8 billion people on the planet. I think a lot of times people are like, oh yeah, it's just so hard to make it and everything. It's like, no, you just got to figure out like, how do I get in there? It's like, if you meet a pretty girl you want to date, you know, you're not like, oh man, it's too pretty, I probably can't. I just never care about what I say, or but you figure it out. You're like, how can I get in front of this girl and like show off and like, hey, I'm cool.
Just start peacocking.
Yeah. So it's just like anything, you know, but that takes time too. Yeah. So it's hard to figure out like what to do next, you know? So let me ask you this question. What's next for you? Like what are you working on right now? Yeah. So I have a few songs that I've been working on. You know, I know most people go for the EP, or they'll go for an album. I have actually been thinking about just releasing a lot of singles and focusing on audio visual. So for each single having an actual music video, you know, and they don't have to all have incredible budgets or anything. We could do some simple stuff. A lot of people like the homemade kind of style, but some with higher budgets, some with lower budgets, and just showing what the lifestyle is about, what my beliefs are. Because, you know, they say, you know, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So if you can have both, you can have music and then, you know, visual as well. So that's kind of what I'm working on now. I have the next thing that's up on the list is I'm actually releasing my second music video for my second single. I've been hanging on to it for quite a while. Just wasn't planned, but a lot of crazy things have happened since I was supposed to release it. It was actually before the coronavirus. So that all happened, and I've just been hanging on to it because I'm trying to find the right time to release it. So that's kind of next, is releasing that. Then I have about a dozen singles that I would like to release in the next year. So I might bundle some of them up into an EP. Are you going to do like audio release, video release, like alternate it? Or are you going to, like you're saying, you may bundle it at the end? Yeah. So I mean, what I'd like to do is be able to release, you know, after every single within the first like 2 weeks to a month, have a video to be released. Yeah. You know, it's a lot of work, but that would kind of be the ideal situation. Obviously this last video is way out of the 2 week mark. Going on a little while, but, well, COVID has definitely put people off balance, you know, and like, how has the COVID crisis affected you as an artist in getting things done? Has it been useful? Like, so you have downtime and a lot of time to, you know, create, or are you just like, man, this sucks? You know, like how are you handling the COVID crisis? Yeah. I mean, I think everyone in the beginning, we were all like, this sucks, you know, but I was just like, you know what, I'm going to get disciplined, get healthy, start working out,
focus on my craft, and so that's kind of what I did is I just kind of regrouped and just thought about ways that I could progress without playing live shows. Cause that was a big component for me. I mean, that was my biggest thing, I with only 2 singles out, my main way of getting, any kind of paycheck with my music and also exposure, my main way of getting exposure was playing gigs,
Right.
And the funny thing is right before COVID, I had some of my biggest opportunities. They weren't necessarily the best paid. That's usually how it goes though. The biggest opportunities usually aren't.
Yeah.
But I ended up playing a VIP show for 21 Pilots. So I played their VIP room. It was interesting because, they're not like a reggae style, but they have a little bit of that.
They got that kind of vibe a little bit.
Yeah. It's like mixed. And some of my songs, that don't sound like them, but some of them of my stuff is similar where it's like reggae, hip hop, rock kind of mix. So that was interesting. And
how do you score a gig like that?
So
being a new artist.
Yeah. That's a good question. So I got lucky and I actually, I don't know if it's luck, but I was fortunate enough to meet a local label here in San Diego called Pacific Records.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had kind of a deal where I was working with them and they were promoting me. I got to play on television a few times,
nice.
Got to play a few festivals, played the Wonderfront Festival. And this was like the first Wonderfront Festival ever. So it's kind of a big deal. So that was cool. Side stages most of the time, either VIP rooms or, for the Wonderfront Festival, I was actually playing on the boat.
Right.
So it's kind of like a smaller event, but I still get my name on the bill.
Yeah.
And you got huge names. I mean, the Wonderfront Festival, I mean, I'd have to go through it, but they're huge names, So I played the Wonderfront and then I played the 21 Pilots VIP room. And then I also played another festival. I think it was Boom Shaka or something. It was like a reggae style festival in San Diego. So yeah, it's been really cool. I've gotten to work with some really good people, professionals that know what they're doing, and I'm able to learn a lot from them. And I know a lot of people watch your podcast because a lot of people are musicians or they're getting into music or whatnot. And I don't have a ton of experience. Like I'm not like super famous rock star or anything like that. But with the little experience in being a newbie, as it were, what I've really thrived on is making good relationships and also valuing people's time.
Yeah.
Like either paying them for their time if you can, because that goes a long way.
Absolutely.
Being a really nice person, genuine, and also showing genuine concern about a person, whether it's their family, their hobbies, actually having a personal relationship.
Right.
So, the people that I've worked with the label, I mean, they've gone far and above, anything I could really imagine just from a relationship, just because we've mutually had a lot of respect for each other, So there's ways to get help from people without signing your life away or without paying, $1 million, like, just by creating good relationships and also finding ways to benefit them, like for you, for example, it's like, well, the only way that you're going to have me on your show is if by some miracle you say, you know what, there might be something to this kid. Like there might be some value here. Right. So there's value for you, even if it's a little bit, whatever it may be. And that's the kind of thing that I was doing with the label where I would find some angle where I could provide value, even though I'm not, a celebrity.
Yeah. And you don't have to be like super famous to like work with people, like a lot of people, they kind of psych themselves out and they don't try. It's back to that pretty girl syndrome where you're like, oh, she'd never go out with me. It's like, yeah, that's what everyone thinks.
Yeah,
bro, don't do that.
Yeah.
So you have to, like, the music industry is like that. You have to believe in yourself and have that confidence. And the confidence comes from failing a lot. Do you have any big failures so far in your career?
I'm laughing because you said the word failure and I'm like, oh, where did I start?
Yeah, let's hear it. Let's hear your best fail story.
All right. I'm just trying to, I mean, I've failed a lot,
What as far as like live performances go?
Yeah. No, I understand.
What's like the worst where you're just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, this wasn't, this is a failure for me, even though it wasn't me who was failing. If that makes any sense. So we had this opportunity to play on, I don't know if it was CBS or KUSI or
like television.
Yeah, it was television. I forget, one of these, I think it was a local station.
Yeah.
And I had a drummer. My bassist wasn't available. And then we had a new guitar player that I just kind of started talking to. And so we hadn't really played much of anything.
Yeah.
And I hit him up and I was like, yo, I got a gig tomorrow. Like they call me last minute. You know, that's how these things go. You know, like, hey, can you be on television tomorrow at like 5 a.m. or something ridiculous, you know, that no one wants to show up at. It was like 8 or something. So I was like, all right, let me make a few phone calls. So the label calls me and tells me about the TV gig. I'm like, all right, let me see what I can do. I call the guitar player. I'm like, hey bro, you down to jump in? You know, it's, you know, he's like, yeah, sure. Let's do this. I was like, well, my bassist is not available. Do you know anyone? He's like, yeah, I got a guy. So long story short, we did one rehearsal at my house. Super just last minute. The drummer and I had played together. That was it. The other two guys never played together. Neither one of them were reggae guys. And the bassist guy was not a reggae guy. He was a rock guy.
Oh, wow.
So when you're playing reggae bass, oh my God. Like you can get away with being like a rock guitar. Like the bass is so important.
Except for bass.
Bass and drums. Like if you know, you got to understand reggae to a certain extent. So great musician, great guy. You know, I'm not complaining there, but you know, we're just all thrown together so fast.
Yeah.
So the next morning we're showing up and, you know, we played and we started, and the first note that the guitar player hit was just so off. It was just like, it was just so off. You guys can look it up. It was, I think it was Begonyan Girl. Yeah, it was Begonyan Girl. If you look up my name, Francesco DeMeo on YouTube, you'll have to go through this one that's called Begonyan Girl. It's that one. It's up there. I mean, I'm not taking it down.
It's so funny. It's like that one moment in the performance where fear just like enters your heart. You're like, why am I doing this? Yeah. This is bad. You know, like, but it's okay. You're here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
No.
And I would like to point out we're being filmed right now, filming.
Yeah.
So we have a camera crew here in the room, and this segment, some of this segment is going to be in a feature they're doing on you as a French American in the United States during the election. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what's the vibe of the kind of mini documentary they're doing on you?
Yeah, for sure. So from what I understand, it's a documentary about French. So I grew up in France and I was born and raised there.
Yeah.
So it's a documentary on French people here in the US during election year, because things just get crazy in the US. I would say in some ways crazier than other countries.
I think this year is going to be a little crazier than ever.
I believe that, man.
I have a feeling about that.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, that was kind of the angle, and they were just, you know, I'm more conservative personally, and so they were having a very hard time finding French speakers that were conservative, because most people, you know, France is a socialist country, so a lot more people are liberal in France, and so they have a hard time finding a conservative, and so I got referred by a friend.
And you're in California.
And I'm in California, which
is more rare.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's true.
And you're a reggae artist. Which is more rare for a conservative.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Surfer, reggae. Yeah. And so it's kind of like, wow, you're like an anomaly or something.
It's a rare Pokemon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Pokemon.
Yeah. Sorry.
So it's been good, but this is, you know, it's a good opportunity because one of the things that they want to focus on was my faith. They asked me like, hey, are you okay talking about your faith? And I'm like, yeah, that's what I love talking about. You know, I really love.
You're a Christian, right?
I am. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how does that come into your music? Like how does your faith in God, you know, mesh with your art?
Yeah. Well, music has been this thing that's been kind of a crutch in a way, where, you know, you feel your pain and you express it through your writing, and it's helpful because it like releases a lot of stress, a lot of anguish, a lot of pain, stuff like that. And the way I would say it is, God is like the part that like actually solves that for me. So music is kind of like a Band-Aid. It's like a glorified Band-Aid, you know, I mean,
heal yourself as an artist.
Yeah,
doing art.
Exactly. Yeah. But God is kind of like, he's like nutrition, right? Like you got to take medicine to get well.
Yeah.
Right. It's, you just throw a Band-Aid on there. It's not going to do anything. So for me, God is kind of like the medicine of, you know, of my sickness, my illness, which, you know, we all have the same thing. You know, we're all, most of the time, you know, we're lacking. Most people are not living in abundance, not because we don't have enough, but because we want more. We're not happy with what we have. We're not grateful. We're not, you know, and so,
which in the music industry is, you know, people climbing the ladder, stepping on the backs of other people, stabbing you in the back. There's a lot of that, like getting to the top at any cost, for sure. Yeah.
And that's another thing too. I mean, kind of going back to like, you know, me being a new artist, when I first started a few years ago, my vibe was a lot different. It was like, yeah, I love music. I love songwriting. But everyone is like, oh, you're pursuing music. Oh, you're going to be a rock star, you know, sex, drugs, rock and roll. And that gets in your head and you're like, oh, fame.
Yeah.
And I wasn't being real to myself, you know, and now I'm like, you know what? I don't even care if I'm popular. Like, I don't care if you like my music. I don't care if you like me. I don't care if you like my face. Like, none of that matters. I'm going to write what's in my heart, and I'm not even going to write it for other people. I'm going to write it for myself. I'm going to write it for God. And if I do write it for other people, it's because I'm writing it about a specific situation, you know? And I got to the point where I was like, I just don't care. Like, I don't care if I get well known. I don't care if I'm popular. I don't care if people like what I say. And surprisingly enough, that one ingredient was actually what actually seems to work the most. People are like, oh, like, he's not trying to get famous. This is actually genuine. It's way more genuine, you know?
And yeah. And I definitely, I had some big social media success early, you know, back in 2009.
Yeah. I heard about that.
You know?
Yeah.
And it gets to your head, and it's like, I didn't have any substance as an artist. I didn't have any tracks released. I was just kind of creating a vibe and a persona without the substance of it. And I got really far doing that, and it's great, you know, but at the same time, I am shifting that. Now it's all about the art, and I'm releasing my first track in September. And, you know,
that's cool, man.
Yeah. So it just takes you just get started.
Yeah.
Just get started. You're going to start maybe you'll start with the success, fame, recognition, people getting to know you thing first. And you are kind of doing that simultaneously, because, you know, here we are getting filmed by French television, and you know, we're here on Instagram, we're here on all the Kingdom of Rock social media platforms simultaneously. And it's like, you know, being known, it's not that hard if you're real. If you got a story to tell, and you have a story, you know, and people relate to that story. And that's what makes them want, you know, to put you up on their shoulders and take you, you know, hooray, our hero, you know, like, look up to people, because people are it's so easy to like pretend to be things, you know, on the internet.
Yeah.
And it's nowadays more than ever, you can pretend to be anything you want to be.
For sure.
But you can also, the whole fake it till you make it thing, there's a certain amount of that, like, I don't know. I mean, but I really like the idea. You're a musician first, and now you're building your marketing and your media awareness, and so people can know you, you know. So
yeah, and I've actually, I mean, first of all, I would say congrats on the. Is it a single that's coming out? Or?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
First single.
You'll have to let me know, because I'm all about like helping each other out. So
sure.
Like, shoot me a message, DM me or something, and I'll push it on my platform.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But you know, one of the things, like, I unfortunately have, and we were talking about this last night a little bit, I've worked with people that were very non-genuine, meaning they got no backbone. I'm not gonna say who it is.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if you guys could find out, even if you tried to research it, but I've worked with people where they had no backbone. They're just trying to get famous. They may or may not love music. You can't even tell at a certain point, because it's like, you like music or fame more, you know?
Yeah.
And I thought that they were all that. It was kind of like fake it till you make it. And I kind of fell into that trap and got used. And there's people out there that are like that. They'll use you. They'll step on you to try to get to where they're going.
Oh yeah.
But usually those people are, they make themselves to be really big and like, I got all this stuff going on. And a lot of times they don't, and the reality is most of the time they don't because of what's going on in here and in here. It's the vibe that they're putting out, and I mean, at least that's what I've seen. I'm not, I wouldn't consider myself to be very successful in this industry because it's newer for me, but I do know people that are very successful. And I've noticed that they're the one thing that I've noticed is that they're real. They're genuine. They just don't care about the fame. It's not about that for them at all. It's about art. It's about people, connecting with people. But yeah, so I mean, and going back to the question about God, I would say the place where my music and my faith meets is in my songs. In my songs, it's like if you listen, you can't always tell if I'm talking about God or about a relationship, but if you listen hard enough, you'll be like, oh, I think this is spiritual. I think this is about God. And what's interesting is a lot of people, because I'm not like, oh, God or Jesus or whatever, I'm not trying to like just have like a sticker that says Christian on my forehead.
Right.
It's more of a personal thing for me, And so the songs that I sing and the songs that I write, it's more on a relationship basis. It's not so much like, hey, let me tell you about my relationship with God. It's about, let me talk about my relationship with God. Let me talk to God as if he was a person right next to me that I really care for. And he really cares for me. And I'm going to talk about this dynamic, this, this relationship where to push and pull. And I'm like, where are you, God, when I need you? And then like, oh, there he is. He's got my back, and kind of that kind of same kind of thing with humans. It's like, you love a girl and you write a song about her and then sometimes you guys go through hard times and you write songs about that. And so that's really what my songs are about, are like times where I feel really close to God and my faith is strong, and other times where I feel like, where are you, God? And, maybe I need more faith, Kind
of sounds like the Psalms a little bit in the Bible,
where
David, King David wrote a lot of songs about that type of the ups and downs of life, for sure. Well, listen, we're coming to the end of our time here, but I want to thank you for being on the show. And I think we're going to do a interview with Mike here. When Mike couldn't be here, we had to kind of just make all this happen to get some logistics and deadlines and everything. But it's
do you guys do any live music on here or anything?
No, we can't, because the live streams will get shut down.
Oh, okay.
So if there's any recognition of the song, YouTube will kill the live stream and everything. So it's because of their algorithms of piracy protection and stuff like that. But well,
even if it's an original, like you wrote it.
It depends. Yeah, if it's not recorded already, you can do it. Okay. You want to do a song?
Well, I mean, it's up to you. I know the TV crew here wanted to focus on a song that I've been writing recently, so it's like a newer song.
Yeah, let's do it.
Can you ask Francesco, like, hey, like, what's coming up?
We can cut the stream and do it after.
Okay, yeah, we'll do it after. We'll do one after.
Okay.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. And thank you guys for tuning in. If you can check out Francesco's music, where can they come?
So I got a website. It's Francesco D Music. So it's FRANCESCO. It's a long name. And then the letter D is in dog, and then music.com. So that's my website. You can find all my social media on there. Social media is going to be the same. It's Francesco D Music. So it's at Francesco D Music for Twitter, Instagram, and then my Facebook page is the same thing. So you guys can look me up on those platforms. And then as far as my singles, I'm on all the main streaming platforms: Amazon, iTunes, Spotify. Yeah, definitely. And then I have one music video out. It's on Vivo. You could look it up. It's on YouTube. And there's another one coming out soon. So stay tuned, and hopefully we'll be able to get it out to you guys soon.
Kingdom of Rock out.